Hey ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate your viewership. And in today's episode, let's go ahead and take a closer look at one of the newest releases by the company Zara. And we know that Zara spits out fragrances quite frequently. This one is called Vibrant Leather Oud. So make sure to stay tuned. So again, this is a 2019 release. The perfumer for this one is Jerome Epinette. Jerome Epinette has made fragrances for Atelier Cologne as well as Byredo. He's a very talented perfumer. I've had the opportunity to meet him in person, and he's just a really nice guy, very stand-up guy. I've actually seen him in person a couple of times, and so I'm very fortunate to have had that opportunity. So Zara releases a ton of fragrances, and one of the things that enables them to do that is the fact that they reverse engineer a lot of fragrances. So they have their own version of Dior if I'm not mistaken, they have their own version of Acqua di Gio, they have their own version of Ultramol, and some might even argue that Vibrant Leather is their interpretation of Creed Aventus. The more you smell them side by side, and I've done a review of Vibrant Leather, if I remember, I'll include a card somewhere up here, but the more you smell Vibrant Leather side by side with Creed Aventus, the more you come to realize that they're actually not that similar. Vibrant Leather is mostly all top notes, and so the longevity on it is really poor, and after a while it just deflates itself. And so I think in the case of this fragrance though, again, it doesn't smell so much like Creed Aventus, and this is a true flanker to Vibrant Leather. Now, this one is called Vibrant Leather Oud. So as a consumer, if you're, juxtaposing the two, I think it's safe to assume that this is going to be similar to Vibrant Leather with the inclusion of an oud note. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily the case with this one, and I'll explain what I mean. This is a very affordable fragrance, and I think that that's one of the things that always works in the favor of Zara fragrances. So, for example, if you don't have enough money to afford Dior Homme Sport, Zara has their own version of it. If you don't have enough money to afford Ultramol by Jean Paul Gaultier, there is a more economic version available, under the Zara name or the Zara brand. And so I don't remember quite how much I paid for this one. I think it might have been like $28 or $29 for what you're getting and the price that you're paying. It's actually quite affordable. I have another one that is their inspiration of Santal 33. I have another one that smells very similar, almost identical to Terre d'Hermès by Hermès. And so this one is an original creation, and I'm very happy to be reviewing this one. I'll tell you just how much I think it smells like Creed Aventus, and I'll also tell you how different it is from the Vibrant Leather, original counterpart that I reviewed way back when. But let's start things off by taking a very quick and close look at the presentation. So the presentation for this one is rather simple. It just has Vibrant Leather Oud here on the front, and then in gold it just has a little bit of a description on the fragrance and some of the notes contained therein. And this is a 60 ml eau de parfum, but we'll talk a little bit more about the concentration of oils in a bit. On the very bottom of the fragrance, you see the UPC, and you have the serial number printed right below that or above that, depending on how you're looking at it. And then on the very back, you actually have this blurred out image on the top here. Just looks at, perhaps some lights in the distance, and then a little bit of a quote from the perfumer, who in this case is Jerome Epinette, with his signature right below that. The bottle for this one is also very nice, just has Vibrant Leather Oud here on the front, Zara at the very bottom, and then on the very bottom you also have the information which should coincide with the ones found on the bottom of the box. The cap for this fragrance does not click into place, but it is a snug fit. Just be careful if you're going to pick it up from the cap. And the distribution on the atomizer is pretty wide. Let's continue with the smell. Okay, as soon as this fragrance opens up, you are going to get not an oud note, you're going to get a leathery accord. Now, okay, let's backtrack. The very first thing you're going to smell is a nice enveloping citrus overtone. And I think the citrus in here is very nicely done, and it's perhaps the only thing unifying this one with the aforementioned release, Vibrant Leather. I do think that this is a true flanker in the sense that there are some similarities between the two. I think that some of the concerns that I had over the first one have been amended and they have been repaired. And so longevity on the initial release, very bad. This one, however, still not as, not great, but it is better. And so I think there was some improvements made. And so that's a good thing. If you're purchasing this one because you're expecting this to be a nice designer take on the note of oud, I don't really get much oud in this one. And so, one thing to keep in mind is that oud is a very expensive ingredient, and for a number of different reasons, right? The method of extraction, the maturation period, all of these things will inevitably and directly and effectively influence the price of oud. In the case of a designer fragrance that is $29, you're not going to get a natural oud note. And so that's one thing to keep in the back of your mind. I think if you want the semblance of oud, still not done in a natural way, check out M7 Oud Absolute by Yves Saint Laurent. There are a number of other, there's even a Gucci fragrance that has, or a couple Gucci fragrances, one of them being Gucci Guilty Oud, and the other one being the other one in the rectangular or the square bottle, I should say. That one also features oud, and it's done in a more natural, still synthetic way. This one, however, gives me more of a leather presence, and I think that the inclusion of that leather accord is rather nice. So I do like the way that this one smells. I like it a lot, actually. And I think that having that balance between the bright, fresh, citrusy notes, but also this not rough and tumble or aggressive leather base is a nice counterpart. And I think that that works in the favor of the likability of this fragrance. And I think a lot of people will inevitably smell this one and say, oh, that's different, but it's still rather nice. So just imagine a very well-groomed, confident man, but who's also a bit of a bad boy, who's also wearing a leather jacket. It's funny, I just finished reviewing Bad Boy by Carolina Herrera, and I think this one conveys more of a bad boy vibe than Carolina Herrera. As a matter of fact, if they packaged this juice inside that bottle, I think that would have been kind of cool. I think that regarding the fragrance's linearity, it is rather linear. So that's one thing that's not necessarily working to the benefit of this fragrance. I think that had there been more of a construction as far as the pyramid is concerned, it would have kept people on their toes, so to speak. But inevitably, this one does smell good, and I like the way that this one smells. I like the progression, as linear as it is, and I like the fact that there is a little bit of like this leather accord worked into the base while not sacrificing or compromising the freshness of the composition. As far as the name is concerned, this one should have been called Vibrant Leather, and the original should have been called Vibrant Cologne or something like that, because I think this one is truly giving you leather. The previous iteration had no leather to speak of, and so I don't know why the name of this one, and what inspired the team to name this one Vibrant Leather Oud, but hopefully the oud conveys a little bit more dominance or a little bit more of a masculinity, and that encourages people to pick it up, and then they'll see that it's actually a decent scent. But yeah, there's no oud in here to speak of. If you're looking for like a natural oud, obviously you have to go with like a Rouge L'Adore or Bortnikov or Ensar Oud. Like, these are companies that do oud very, very well. In the case of this one, yeah, there's not much oud in here to speak of, but I do find it to be a rather solid scent. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. First up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I do find this to be a unique fragrance. I don't think it smells like Creed Aventus, and I know Creed Aventus also has a little bit of like this darker undertone. I know some of the more recent batches have a lot of vanilla, but I think a lot of them also have this cedarwood patchouli thing going on in the base that kind of masculinizes the composition. This one, in terms of the uniqueness, doesn't really smell like Creed Aventus. It's a lot more unique than the original Vibrant Leather, but also for that reason, it's not as fresh as the original Vibrant Leather. So I don't know if that will impact or hinder the sales, but I guess only time will tell. I actually prefer this version over the original Vibrant Leather, which, as much as it did smell like Creed Aventus, I don't think was a very good clone of Creed Aventus. There are far better inspirations on the market nowadays. In terms of the overall smell, very pleasant. Just keep in mind that this is going to be a little bit on the darker side because of the inclusion of this leather accord, not so much because of the oud that's in the namesake of the fragrance. In terms of the longevity, I got about 3.5 to 4 hours. Not very good. This one is marketed as an eau de parfum. If you look on the bottom of the box, you'll see that the concentration of alcohol is 80%. Probably another 4 or 5% is aqua or water, which effectively leaves us with 15 to 16% concentration of aromatic compounds, which I think for a lot of people will fall in the eau de toilette category, but this is marketed as an eau de parfum. So make of that what you will. So I didn't get the best longevity with this one, but it's so inexpensive. I mean, honestly, in 4 hours, I'll just spray it again. I don't have much of an issue regarding that. And so no qualms there. In terms of the projection, great for the first hour. and then it very quickly diminishes and it becomes a skin scent. Versatility on this one is also good. I don't think that that leather accord or the oud, in the case of the No Pyramid, is so overwhelming that it limits or compromises the versatility. I think that despite the fact that this one is marketed for men, or at least I think it's marketed for men, I bought it on the men's side of my Zara store. This can be worn on both a man and a woman. A very confident woman can certainly pull this one off. And I think that in terms of occasions, this is one that can be worn casually, but also if you're going out night on the town, I think you can pull this one off as well. And I think in terms of seasons, this is one that I would wear when maybe spring and fall, you know. I could probably also pull this off in the summer as well, but not in the winter. It wouldn't stand a chance with the longevity and the performance. And in terms of the presentation, very simple, very minimal. My final verdict on this one is if you're not necessarily on the market for a Creed Aventus clone, but you want a fragrance that smells a little bit different from what everybody else is doing, and you want a fragrance that is made by a trusted name and a trusted perfumer in the industry, and something that is ultra affordable, please check it out. It's actually a really good fragrance. So I think that in terms of a 2019 release, am I saying it's one of the best releases of 2019? I don't think so. However, if you're looking for something that's perhaps a little bit more unique from a lot of the other Invictus Aqua inspired fragrances on the market, like Urban Hero by Jimmy Choo, or even Run Wild by Davidoff, and there's just so many on the market nowadays. Check this one out, really. I think you might actually really like this one. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of Vibrant Leather Oud by Zara. Solid scent. If you own or have tried this fragrance or any other fragrance from the company Zara, I would love to know what you think. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I always love to read your comments. And if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, please do consider subscribing. It will help the channel by a lot. You have no idea. And also, whenever I do upload videos just like this, it will get delivered straight to your feed. Never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And of course, that includes reviews just like this, top 10s, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, interviews, and a whole lot more. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. We'll see you soon. Bye.